Good day, XOP from Iloilo City, Philippines. Today, I'd like to ask a very simple yet profound question. Do you put God first place in your life? Again, do you put God first place in your life? Well, God does not want to be first place in your life. Like every life always sounds so deceptively correct to put God first place. After all, it sounds like it should be a good Christian thing to do, right? If God is first place in your life, then you're doing something right. You're putting Him above all else. He is first place, then your family next, then work, then everything else. Sounds correct, right? Actually, this kind of attitude puts God's on a list, and that's insulting to Him. You see, some well-meaning people have told me this. Pastor, there are many things that clamor for your attention and devotion. Your job, spouse, hobby, the demands and distractions of life. You need to be careful not to let other things become more important or more of a priority than your relationship with God. Make sure you keep God first place in your life. At that time, I thought this was wisdom speaking. What people mean by putting God first place is that you need to prioritize Bible reading, prayer, and other spiritual activities above everything else. The implication is that everything else is worldly and therefore not as good as the spiritual things. This mindset says there is a division between the sacred and the secular. A distinction is made between what is spiritual and what is worldly. According to this mindset, your priority list would look like God being on top of the list, considering the sacred or spiritual as the most important, followed by the secular or worldly things like family, work, hobby, etc. In the sacred or spiritual category are things like worship, church attendance, prayer, Bible reading, evangelism, tithing, speaking in tongues, volunteering and obedience, etc., etc. And what is secular or worldly, on the other hand, everything else, which includes basically 95% of where ordinary people like you and me spend their lives and energy, family, friends, work, hobbies, and interests. To put it bluntly, this distinction is unbiblical. To make a distinction between spiritual and worldly is false and reveals a deep misunderstanding of the nature of a Christian. What makes something spiritual or worldly is the nature of the person, not the nature of an activity. Again, what makes something spiritual or worldly is the nature of the person, not the nature of an activity. You are a spirit who has a soul and lives in a body because you are a spirit being. Everything you do is spiritual. The who determines the do. Since you are a spiritual being who lives in a human body, everything you do is 100% spiritual and 100% natural. This isn't a single activity you do today that isn't spiritual. Every action is spiritual because you are a spirit being. So the next time you put your hands to work, change diapers probably, enjoy your hobby, sip away your favorite drink, remember that all those physical activities are just as spiritual as praying, Bible reading, worship, etc., etc. So why Christ then is not first place in your life? Colossians 3, verses 3 to 4 of the Amplified Translation gives us clarity. Your old life is dead. Your new life, which is your real life, even invisible to spectators, is with Christ in God. He is your life. Christ is not first place in your life. He is your life. That statement clarifies a lot of things. He is not just your life. He is your life. Jesus Christ is the very essence of your life. Christ is in you, with you, joined to you, and present in all aspects of your life. He is everything to you. Philippians 1:21 says, to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Notice how Paul doesn't say that Christ is important to him. He says that to live is Christ. Paul is trying to give Christ a proper place among other things. Instead, he is recognizing the fact that Christ is everything to him. Christ is your life. He doesn't want to be first place in your life. He's the substance of everything about you and in you. If Christ is your life, then you can put him first place or second or third for that matter. It can only be one thing, your life expressed through you each day. So, even though this advice to keep God first place in your life sounds good, it's nothing but a lie. Instead of legalistically trying to keep God first place in your life, I invite you to come and come out of the righteous treadmill, to rest in the fact that Christ is your life. Your priority list regarding Christ should look like this. Number one, Christ is your life in your family. Number one, Christ is your life in your work. Number one, Christ is your life in your worship, prayer, Bible reading, church attendance. Number one, Christ is your life in your hobbies and interests. Number one, Christ is your life in your parenting, coffee drinking, joking around in bathroom breaks. Notice, Christ is always number one. Why? Because He is your life. Since He is your life, God cannot be put first place in your life. He's the substance of who you are. He is your identity. There's no sense in comparing Jesus with other things and ranking Him as number one. He isn't separate from all other activities. He is intimately involved in every part and moment of your life. Brothers and sisters, Christ is your life.